Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. 2024 NFL Draft. Everybody juiced up for this one. This is going to be, I think, wild to say the least. So we have quite a few bets that we have going on in the NFL Draft. We also want to run through a lot of the betting options out there. If this is your first time maybe betting on the draft, first of all, welcome. It is a bunch of craziness. This is the one area where the books do not have a bunch of data in order to be mainly on the right side of everything, right? So their lines move drastically. So if you find something that you like, I suggest betting it then, rather than we'll see what the line does, because you can see a minus 150 go to a minus 10,000 pretty quickly. For example, all the action going on Jayden Daniels as the 2 pick. It was question mark whether he was going to be the 2 pick. Then he was an overall favorite, and then a bunch of stuff came out where multiple quarterbacks were in DC with the Commanders. And supposedly he didn't like that. Then all of a sudden Drake May was the favorite. And now we're sitting here on we're sitting here on the 22nd, a few days before the draft. And all of a sudden he's back up to minus 350 again. And a lot of books to be the second pick overall. There's no question on who's going 1. They could already go ahead and turn in the card. Unless somebody offers them like 8 first-round picks. Don't foresee the Bears making that trade out of Caleb Williams at 1. So really the draft starts at 2, and I don't think the draft starts at 2 or 3. I don't think anybody's going to make a big enough offer in order to get up to 2 or 3. I really think the draft starts at 4, but we'll kind of run through what's going on here. So what we'll do first, before we get into our bets, is we'll just run through kind of what's going on right now. Like Caleb Williams is a minus 20,000 to go first. Like I mentioned, Jayden Daniels is somewhere between 300 and minus 300 to minus 350 at whatever book. If you're not in yet, I suggest, and you want to get in on that one, I suggest doing it now. As you can see this thing at a minus 1,000 plus once we get to draft day on this one. So Jayden Daniels, he's the favorite at the 2 pick, followed by Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., then Neighbors. The guys we've all heard about so far. In the top 10. 3rd pick, Drake May now is like almost a 250 favorite, followed by Jayden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Harrison, Neighbors. Even Penix Jr.'s jumped up to plus 9,000 for the 3rd pick, because there's been a lot of swirling info around Penix. Maybe they're not as worried about the medicals as of now. And one of the best lines I heard probably through this draft process, Penix says he would let you... You can check out his knees and everything else you want, x-rays, all you want, but the only test you need to run is the EEG to check out his heart. So I thought that was a pretty good line there by Penix for sure. Favorite-wise, we should see Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, and then Drake May for the top 3 picks. The question is now at 4. The Cardinals hold the 4th pick. If you're wanting to move up, I think the Cardinals are more than open for business. They did trade back last year. Marvin Harrison was like a minus 700 earlier in the draft process to go to the Cardinals. Now on DraftKings, for example, as we're going through this, he's a minus 225 favorite in this one. J.J. McCarthy slightly behind him. He's a plus 180. He's the next one up on the board. I honestly think if the Cardinals don't figure out a way to trade out of this pick, this could set them back. If they trade out of this pick properly, grab the picks they need, they can still get a fantastic receiver, and they can get a D-line edge guy that they desperately need defensively, as they got absolutely torched on the ground last year. You're sticking with Kyler Murray. You made that pretty prevalent. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have played him in the back half of the season. So you're stuck at your QB. So you're not going to try to get a QB here, obviously. So the question is, do we draft Harrison, who a lot of people have him as the number 1 player in the draft, or do we draft back and grab a lot of capital for this year and future years? My opinion, draft back. Trade back. I'd always rather have more shots at the title than just one shot. Even if my one shot's with the best punch, but if you give me 4 shots at it with my secondary punches, I'm probably gonna be able to figure something out there as well. So definitely do like them trading back here. And actually, we'll go through our bets here in a little while, but J.J. McCarthy we have at the 4 or the 5. The number 5 pick, Malik Neighbors, currently the favorite in this one, but it is close. Neighbors like at plus 230, Harrison plus 250, McCarthy plus 250, even Joe Alt plus 475 to be the number 5 pick. The Chargers sit here at 5. The question is can they trade back as well? Now, I think it's going to boil down to one of these two teams who they're going to trade back. That's what it's probably going to boil down to. So the question is who is more willing to trade back, the Cardinals or the Chargers? So if the Chargers are the team that ends up trading back here at 5, this is probably a good spot where you're going to see J.J. McCarthy. If not, the question is Harbaugh draft the best receiver on the board or Joe Alt the best tackle on the board? Now, Joe Alt, normally a left tackle. Chargers pretty much set up at left tackle. So I think they would prefer to trade back, but I don't know if anybody's going to trade up if somebody's already taken the 4th pick from the Cardinals, like the Vikings or, something to that effect. I think if you're the Raiders or the Broncos, I don't think, and the Vikings already made a move up to 4. I don't think there's necessarily a big run to move up to 5. You can probably grab Penix if that's who you're looking at, closer to your own pick, or maybe trading up to 8 as well. So I don't know if the Giants are necessarily going to be going after Michael Penix. I don't think that the Tennessee Titans are definitely going after a quarterback because they seem pretty set on Will Levis. So 8 could be open for business as well with the Falcons. There's been a lot of that swindling around here the last day or two. But 4 or 5 are definitely where this is going to start. The question is who's going to make it a little bit easier to trade to 4 or 5? Is it going to be the Cardinals or the Chargers? I don't see both of them being able to trade back. It's a possibility, though, but it's going to be hard to do. The 6th pick, favorite right now, looks like Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, fantastic wide receiver out of LSU. Rome Odunze out of Washington. J.J. McCarthy, he could possibly fall to 6 on that one. If they can't make trades at 4 or 5 because the asking price is too high, McCarthy could fall to the Giants here. The question is, do the Giants take him or trade back as well? In that one, I think most of the teams, they'll think they need to get in front of the Giants if they're going to try to grab J.J. McCarthy on that one there. So, like Neighbors, Odunze, McCarthy, Joe Alt's up there. I don't foresee the Giants taking Alt either, but we'll just see. Number 7 pick, Joe Alt is a pretty big favorite here. His odds have dropped, though. He was minus 3 to 400 easily to be the 7th pick. Now he's at like minus 165. Odunze, Neighbors, and Fascino are the next guys up here at the 7 pick. It is the Titans. We do expect the Titans probably take an offensive lineman as they need him desperately, and Joe Alt would fit the bill there nicely on that one. The number 8 pick, the Falcons. This is an area, like I said before, could be a trade-up spot. If no trades are done at 4 or 5, this could be the trade-up spot here if they want to wait to see what the Giants are going to do. Dallas Turner's been linked to the Falcons since basically the process started. Latu, a bunch of injuries, but he's probably the best natural pass rusher in this draft. He's a plus 170. Odunze, like plus 650. Byron Murphy, there's been rumblings about Murphy being the first defensive player taken. As through the first 7 picks, we expect all offense. So the question is do the Falcons do what they need to do and draft this at 8, or do they trade back, which could be a possibility, to trade back into the early teens in this one? Pick 9, this is the Bears' 2nd pick in the first round. This is a couple areas here. So if there's no defensive player taken at 8, this could be a really good shot for Byron Murphy, as I think the Bears are going to be looking for D-line edge at this particular pick. At the start of the draft process, a lot of people thought Odunze in this particular spot made a lot of sense. Add another weapon for Caleb Williams to go with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, and all the guys there. So the question is what do the Bears do here? We probably think they're going defense. So is it going to be Jared Verse, another pass rusher, Dallas Turner if he's still on the board, another pass rusher, Byron Murphy, the great inside defensive lineman, or do they take Odunze, who they've been linked to all along? And the number 10 pick, the Jets. Question is what are they going to do? Brock Bowers should be available there at 10. Best tight end in the draft, and it's not really even close. The only place Bowers would probably struggle at tight end wise is maybe inline blocking, but he's one of the best pass catchers out there. I know this, being a Chiefs fan, if somehow Bowers dropped to the 20s, I would not be shocked if the Chiefs made some big drastic move up. If Bowers is not selected at 10 here, he could drop on this one. I honestly think the Jets need to get as many offensive linemen as they possibly can. If I were the Jets and be in their GM and draft room, we would definitely need to take a look at that. So if you're looking for more bets besides the top 10 picks, you can also go draft position on multiple books. You can look at like Adonai Mitchell. He's currently around 27.5. Marius Mims is like over under at 22.5. Bo Nix, a real popular name, at 32.5. He's heavily juiced to the over as everybody thinks he's going second round. Brian Thomas Jr. at 19.5, the LSU wide receiver. Brock Bowers, who we just mentioned, is brought up with the Jets at 10, but his over-under is at 12.5. Byron Murphy, who we mentioned, 14.5. And not too bad a juice under that at minus 150. Chop Robinson, 26.5. Cooper DeJean, the corner out of Iowa at 22.5. Dallas Turner, who we've mentioned a couple times, looks like he might be falling out of that 8 spot if the Falcons get something done there. I think it's really going to boil down to draft night. You're going to see, I think, a lot of activity draft night. If they can't get to 4 or 5, a lot of people are going to be looking to go to 8. J.J. McCarthy at 5.5. Jackson Powers Johnson at 31.5. Really good center that could go to the second round. Jared Verse, we mentioned. J.C. Latham, right tackle, who's an absolute mauler at 14.5. Joe Alt, who we mentioned earlier as well, possibly going to the Titans at 7. His number's at 7.5. But there's just a list. Another interesting one, Michael Penix Jr. at 32.5. So the question is, does he go first round, second round? It's heavily juiced for him to go to the first round. Quinion Mitchell's probably the best corner in the draft. He's at over under 13.5. Odunze, which we mentioned, over under at 8.5. And Terrion Arnold, another corner. But there's all kinds of different guys there, and you can find different guys on multiple books depending where they're at. Also, draft-wise, you can go by position total, like how many corners or quarterbacks or defensive linemen, edge players, offensive linemen, how many of those are going to be drafted in the first round. You can also bet just top 5. You pick guys to make the top 5, guys to make the top 10. First round, if they're going to make it into get drafted in the first round. Next one you could look at as well would be draft matchups. So basically picking 2 guys against each other, like Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. Which one's going to be drafted first? Penix or Bo Nix? Which one's going to be drafted first? So on and so forth down the list. Like Neighbors and Odunze, you can play that one as well. You can also play college props, which is basically how many players selected from the conference in the first round, like ACC, Big Ten, SEC, currently over under 9.5 players in the first round, Pac-12 players. Then you could even go into like who would take certain players, period. So like Blake Corum, there's a lot of options for Blake Corum. Bo Nix, Brock Bowers, Caleb Williams. Of course, you're going to pay through the nose for Caleb there. J.J. McCarthy on who's going to take J.J. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix. And the consensus so far is that he's Raiders seem to be the odds-on favorite for that one. Xavier Worthy, I don't think he's getting to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs and the Bills are both plus 600 on that one. I'd be surprised if Xavier Worthy with that 4.2 speed is going to make it to the last pick in the first round. But the Chiefs have traded up before, so it would not be anything unusual. You can pick the first non-quarterback selected. Marvin Harrison dropped from minus 800 to minus 500 in a matter of a day. You can bet on the number of trades. Like currently, that's about 6.5. You can bet on first quarterback, second quarterback, third quarterback. You can bet on running backs. Who's going to be the first running back off the board? Tight end wise, you can bet on the second tight end. You can bet on the first wide receiver. Harrison's still a big one there. Defensively, you can bet on the first defensive player going off, the first corner, the first D-line and edge, first offensive lineman. Joe Alt's still a huge favorite in that one. You can even wager on what position Mr. Irrelevant in the 7th round is going to be. And then there's all kinds of parlays as well. The Chargers, the funny one is the Chargers drafting J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum. That was pretty interesting on that one there. So, and then there's a 49ers one as well that's even more crazy on that one. Then you can also go through team by team and what position that they're going to select with their first pick. Now, if they trade out of the first round, that's fine. It's just what's going to be their first pick. So the Jets, O-line is kind of in the lead at plus 115. Bills, wide receiver at minus 280. Dolphins, O-line at minus 175. And then the Bengals, O-line, minus 190. Steelers, O-line, minus 350. Ravens, O-line, minus 230. Browns, you got a D-line, plus 175 is leading in the clubhouse on that one. We go to the AFC South. Jaguars, a corner. This line has went up. This was minus 140. It's moved to minus 185 for their first pick. Titans, offensive lineman, minus 330. Texans, O-line, plus 200. The D-line as well at plus 200. So it looks like they're taking a lineman from one side of the ball. Colts, corners leading the way there at plus 110. The Broncos, quarterback, plus 175, and D-line at plus 200. Chiefs, wide receiver, minus 105, and offensive lineman, plus 140. So, for example, they're looking at wide receiver or maybe somebody to replace Donovan Smith if they can't re-sign him, as they need a left tackle on that one. So you could receive receiver or a tackle there. There are a bunch of tackles in this draft that are quality tackles. Chargers, offensive linemen's leading the house there. Raiders, corner is actually leading the house. Quarterback, though, has dropped from plus 400 or plus 230. Cowboys, O-lineman leading the way there. Philly, corner and offensive line. Giants, wide receivers, a minus 225 favorite. NFC North, the Packers, O-line. Vikings, a quarterback, went from, this is kind of interesting here. This line just moved in the last few hours. Quarterback moved to minus 250 for the Vikings. Lions, corner, plus 135. And then you get to the NFC South. Falcons, defensive line edge at minus 215. Saints, O-line at minus 400. That's a huge number there. One of the biggest ones out there that they're going to take an offensive lineman. The Bucks, pretty split between defensive line edge and O-line in that one. Panthers, wide receiver, taking a huge lead there at minus 175. And then out west, the Rams, offensive lineman and defensive line are pretty close. Minus 150 for the 49ers to draft an offensive lineman. Same for the Seahawks. And then the Cardinals, minus 425 for their first pick to be a receiver. I think if they fall back, the next bet at defensive line and edge is currently plus 380. That could be where they go with the first pick. So we kind of went through a lot of different bets that you can make on the NFL draft. So what the hell did we pick, right? So we can make, so if we want to fade or follow those picks. So we'll give you a rundown here. There are quite a few. So I will tell you, make sure you do check out the Google Sheets at the end of the show on YouTube, or you can check on our channel pages on YouTube and TikTok at docs.google.com/spreadsheet. This will give you all the bets. Just go to football 24-25 season. At the top there, you'll see NFL Draft 2024. So we got quite a few picks. We're going to bounce around just a little bit, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. We'll go through just the selections of number picks. So Jayden Daniels being the number 2 pick. Drake May, the 3 pick. J.J. McCarthy, the odds were so good, we took at 4 and 5. He was plus 400 when we grabbed it for 4 and plus 450 for 5. Number 6 pick, Malik Neighbors. 7 pick, we went with Joe Alt. 8th pick, Dallas Turner. That was kind of where we stopped there for the top 8. Although Caleb, we didn't take. Obviously, $20,000 to win 100 doesn't have anybody very excited at all. Dallas Turner, first defensive player to be drafted for Dallas Turner there. We also took Dallas Turner under the 9.5 draft position, so he needs to go 9th or sooner. Dallas Turner, a top 10 pick. And that takes care of all the Dallas Turner bets. Next bet up, J.C. Latham, we mentioned before, big right tackle. One of Mel Kiper's favorites as well. We like J.C. Latham under 14.5, so he needs to go in the first 14 picks for that one to hit. Next one up, and we're regretting this one already, is it looks like Penix is going to make it back into the first round. Under 4.5 quarterbacks. This was plus 184 when we got it, though, on that one. Odunze, over 8.5, so he'd be drafted 9th or later. And the way this is kind of shaking out, it could be there. Jaden Daniels, we kind of went over that, second quarterback drafted. Chiefs first pick. We took wide receiver on that one. That was about 110. J.J. McCarthy to go in the first 5 picks. Quinion Mitchell, first cornerback selected. Then we did take an exact order of Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May for the top 3 picks. Cowboys, we did take a flyer here to draft Spencer Rattler later on in the draft. That was plus 1,900 when we looked earlier today as well, and that's the same as we got it as the Cowboys to draft Spencer Rattler in that one. So definitely a little bit of a long shot there. Let's see, we went through Neighbors, McCarthy, Alt, Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South Carolina. This number has dropped. So we took him under 41.5, which means he needed to go in the first 41 picks. That line had moved from 41.5 to 34.5 earlier today. We also took Legette to be a first round pick as well. Lions first pick to be a corner. Texans first pick to be an edge defensive lineman. Vikings first pick, we just talked about this. We took this a few days ago, and it was even money. Now it's minus 250 for the Vikings. The Cardinals first pick, D-line and edge. I know everybody thinks they're taking a receiver. We think they're trading back. We got it at plus 400 yesterday. It's now to plus 380. Chop Robinson under 26.5. So it means he needs to go in the first 26 picks. Michael Penix Jr. under 32.5, which means he needs to go in the first round. Xavier Worthy under 31.5. So he needs to go in the first 31 picks. Ladd McConkey over 34.5. So he needs to go 35th or later. I know there's a lot of buzz about Ladd. One thing Ladd has not been able to really do consistently is stay healthy. I think that's going to scare some teams off. I still think he goes in the second round, but I just think it's going to probably be like maybe 37 somewhere between 37 and the end of the round there. So let's go through those plays one more time for you. There's quite a few. Jaden Daniels at 2, Drake May at 3, J.J. McCarthy 4 and 5. Obviously, we're going to lose one of those when both of them are plus 400. We're okay with that. Then we've got Malik Neighbors at 6, Joe Alt at 7. Dallas Turner at 8. Dallas Turner, first defensive player drafted. And then we've got, Dallas Turner under 9.5 on the draft position. Dallas Turner top 10. Amazingly enough, they were about the same amount of odds, and we get one more pick. So 9 and 10, Dallas Turner to be gone by then. And that one we also have. J.C. Latham under in the first 14 picks. Under 4.5 quarterbacks drafted round 1. Roma Dunze over 8.5 draft position. He's going to go 9th or later. Chiefs, first pick to be a wide receiver. Xavier Legette to be a first round pick. Also under 41.5 draft position. Like I said, that number is moving highly on Legette. He is gaining a lot of steam to be another receiver maybe at the end of the first round on that one. Jaden Daniel to be in the top, it's not Jaden Daniel. How about J.J. McCarthy to be in the top 5? Quinion Mitchell, first quarterback selected. exact 3 picks of Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Cowboys to draft Spencer Rattler. Dallas Turner, which mentioned in the top 10. Let's see here. Leggett, we went over that one. Lions, first pick to be a cornerback. Texans, first pick to be an edge defensive lineman. Vikings, first pick to be a QB. Cardinals, first pick to be a D-line / edge player. Chop Robinson, under 26.5 draft position. Michael Penix Jr., under 32.5 draft position. Xavier Worthy, fastest guy at the combine, under 31.5 draft position. And Land McConkey from Georgia, over 34.5 draft position. So at the end of every episode we do on YouTube, there's going to be a link to our Google Sheets. And it's also going to be on our YouTube channel and TikTok channel as well. It'll read docs.google.com/spreadsheet. Just click into there. Click over to the football 24-25 season tab. You'll be able to see all of our bets that we just went through, what juice we got those at, how many units, and what book we did place them at. I will tell you this, if you like something on the draft, just bet it then, because more than likely it's going to be completely different if you come back to it in a couple of hours. That's how quickly these things move. They gain steam. The books do not have the advantage in this one. If you get early information on something, as a player, you actually have an advantage over the sports books in this one, is there's not really any data to go off of. This is all based on what we think somebody's going to do. Not this is how they've played in the past. This is how they're going to play. This is what they do against this number or this defense or this offense. You don't see any of that. So this is you can make quite a bit of money in the draft. The key is not to get too crazy and to not get impatient. And if a number goes in the opposite direction, to try to cover that position or whatever it may be. So just be careful when going through the draft. Bet on, an easy one is to bet on who your team's going to select. That's always the easy one. There's going to be a ton of draft bets as the draft goes along as well. So if you'd rather bet it on who's going to go where later on, feel free to do so. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities to bet the draft. It's going on we got 4 days, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. No, I'm sorry, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday. And then we get through on that one there. So a lot of draft bets. There's 250 players going to be drafted. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs for a lot of teams on this one. So just be sensible about it. No reason to throw your whole bankroll around it, but in my opinion, one of the funnest betting times out there. Not only that, especially with a lot of the first round bets, you got baseball going on and NBA playoffs going on. There's all kinds of bets going on. The draft's just a major part of it as well. So at the end of every, we already went over the Google Sheets, and if you could subscribe or follow us on whichever platform you're watching us on, whether it be our YouTube channel, just hit that subscribe button, or TikTok, hit a follow, and it makes it really easy to find us. And if you want to make life even easier to find us, all you have to do is turn on notifications for that social media platform, and then you'll get a notification to your phone or device to let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped a new episode of bets. Give you plenty of time to match them up with your bets and give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window. We do appreciate everybody's support as always, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.